Testified for 2 days. He was taken through his affidavit by the inquiry's evidence leader.
You say in paragraph 19 of your affidavit, right, that Advocate Mkhwebane was having a discussion with the minister prior to the meeting.
Yes.
And he found it odd that she would do so.
Yeah.
Why is that so, Mr. Kekana?
Well, in a meeting of that magnitude, it was not custom, or we found it odd for one to have a one-on-one meeting with an implicated party. So that's what I found it odd about the incident.
And what was the practice at the time in respect of recordings?
Well, we would record every investigation meeting, subpoena that we had.
And if you didn't have a recordal device available, would you take notes?
Yes, naturally.
And so you say that you were surprised when you were told not to do both. Who told you that, Advocate Kekana, Mr. Kekana?
The Public Protector.
Mkhwebane's legal representative followed with cross-examination.
You said you found it odd that the Public Protector spoke to Mr. Mkhwebane separately.
Yes.
And do you find it strange that sometimes, you know, the senior people in a particular delegation might have a separate meeting, preliminary meeting, sometimes called a meet and greet, that kind of thing? Is that odd?
For me, the odd thing was that we usually didn't have one-on-ones, especially during an investigative meeting.
Yes, but, well, the version of the Public Protector would be that was not necessarily an investigative meeting, but a meeting for the purposes that I've explained, that to get clarity with the from the owners of the contract.
That would be her view, Chairperson. I can't add anything on that, Chair.
Mpofu also used the cross-examination session to discredit Kekana's testimony.
Let me first put it to you. I'm going to argue at the end that literally anything that you have said should be taken with a pinch of salt, if it should be taken at all. Actually, it should not be accepted at all, because you are an unreliable and dishonest witness. What would you say to that?
Chair, I've given evidence to this committee, and it's up to the committee to use that evidence any way fit.
Yes. And that the only true thing that you have said in this commission, in this committee, is the fact that you did all this and entered into all these affidavits in order to avoid charges being leveled against you, further charges, sorry, being leveled against you. I think there you were telling the truth. That's the only motivation you have in life. Any comment?
Chair, that was not the only truth. I provided all the information to the committee to the best of my knowledge.
And that you knew and you know, as you have now confirmed in your testimony, that the interactions with SSA were deserved because they were the signatories to the CIEX agreement, and there were those missing transcripts. and that there was nothing untoward with those interactions, as you have now subsequently confirmed. Correct?
Chair, I indicated that we needed to interact with the SSA to get a version from them, which we never got.
After Mbofu's cross-examination, it was the turn of MPs to clarify certain aspects of Kekana's testimony.
Mr. Kekana, had politicians been implicated and or had adverse findings against them prior to the Vrede dairy report? And if so, were their names removed from those other reports?
Chair, my memory, I remember seeing draft reports or a draft report with some form of finding against political office bearers.
Okay. Were their names removed?
Chair, from our report, we did remove the, I don't think our report had such findings, but I remember previous reports had such findings, and in our report, we did remove anything that was negative towards the political office bearers.
In paragraph 42, you allege that Advocate Mkhwebane did not care if the reports were taken on review or not. Do you mind if you can elaborate a little bit on that?
Chair, what I remember is that while we were going through the report, taking out information, Mr. Namasisi did warn the public protector that removing such information could lead to a review. And I remember the statement that she made that she didn't care whether the report would be reviewed or not.
Kekana's appointment in Mkhwebane's private office also came under scrutiny.
My first question was whether your appointment to the private office, whether you would consider that a promotion, and if it was explained to you why you had been approached and not your colleagues. Yes.
The appointment to the private office chair, according to my view, was not a promotion. I was still a senior investigator. I was just approached by HR and they informed me whether I was keen to work with the PP in the private office, and I indicated my keenness. Chair, I was not interviewed for the position. From my understanding, it was a transfer from quality assurance to the private office.
Other MPs asked him if he would have required more time to prepare for the hearing.
Mr. Kekana, on a number of occasions, when Advocate Mpofu asked you questions, you kept on saying you don't remember. The question is, do you think the evidence leader gave you enough time to prepare for your appearance before this committee? If the answer is not in the affirmative, would you wish to be given more time to respond in writing to areas you said you don't remember? Lastly, my question is directed to the evidence leader. Are you planning to call some of the people who attended meetings with the public protector, especially on Reserve Bank related discussions, so that we can hear both sides? We've heard his version, but it is important that since he was not working alone with the public protector, sometimes you hear some names being mentioned. We would like you to respond on that. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chair, it must be emphasized that I really didn't want to come and testify to the commission or to the committee, and one of the reasons that I did advance, Chair, was that my memory in regards to certain events, and especially of events that had happened some time ago, was impaired. Chair, I don't think under the circumstances I was given time or more time to prepare for the discourse that we've having the past 2 days, Chair.
We have endeavored to be guided by the motion in respect of the evidence we are calling. And if the member's question is, are we going to be calling some of the names that have been referred to today? That is our intent.
There were also disagreements between one of the MPs and Mpofu when the committee member questioned Kekana.
During your cross-examination, Advocate Mpofu wanted the committee to believe that we should not give any value to your testimony because, as he put it, because of your impaired memory. Now, your evidence in main was basically based on your affidavit, which was drawn up about 3 years ago. Am I correct if I say that obviously your memory must have been much better because 3 years ago when you drafted the affidavit, it was much closer to the events? Secondly, in the same vein, many of the things that you were questioned about are things that happened more than 5 years ago. And am I correct to say that probably most of the members of the committee, as well as most members of the bar, won't be able to recollect what's in emails of 5 years ago without having the privilege to go through them again and to refresh your memory? Am I correct?
Chair, that would be correct.
The inquiry is expected to resume on Wednesday or Thursday, as Mkhwebane and her legal team are expected back in the Western Cape High Court at the beginning of the week to challenge a suspension by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Mercedes Besant, SABC News, Parliament.